Well, hopefully I am live. Here I am. Alrighty. Well, today we're going to talk a little bit about lifestyle changes. We have a very dear friend who has some health issues that's creating a lifestyle change for him. And I'm going to go ahead and preface this by saying that it is only a discussion. It's not advice. And if you're going to make a major lifestyle change in your life, you need to make sure you talk with your doctor, especially if it has to do with health issues. So, with that being said, um, we're going to go ahead and start out by talking about different lifestyle changes that you have to make. I mean, you make numerous lifestyle changes within your life. You get married, it's a lifestyle change. You basically have children, it's a lifestyle change. You go to college, you do all kinds of things that create lifestyle changes. Sometimes it's for health, and sometimes it's just for vanity or you want to feel better or look better. But lifestyle changes are things that happen throughout your life numerous times. And so, one of the things that I wanted to talk about today was lifestyle changes when it comes to diet. A lot of people say they're going on a diet, and yeah, it's not fun. It's kind of hard to do, but sometimes it's necessary. And in our friend's case, it is really necessary for him to go on a special diet for his health. So, this week, Liz and Marilyn put out a challenge to Mr. Denver Stevo about a bunch of us going on a diet to diet with him because he has to lose quite a bit of weight for his health. He has some situations that require that he have some lifestyle changes. So, what I'm going to talk a little bit about today is what I call the low carb. It's not keto, we don't go into ketosis, but it is a way to help lose weight. And Marilyn, hi, Marilyn. Uh, and I'm talking about you, Marilyn. Your challenge with you and Liz doing the helping Denver Stevo with his lifestyle change that he's needing to make. Now, one of the things that I have done, and it's basically for Denver, is that I have started the sister channel to Sinfully Good. It is called Sinfully Low Carb. And so that is I'm working on adjusting some of the meals that I have put on the Sinfully Good. There's some that are already there that were easy to do. And then there were some that are a little bit more difficult, and I'm going to have to really look at them and work at them. Now, what's about to be pulled out of is my Sinfully Low Carb cookbook that I did for my daughter, and I'm going to start pulling those out. There's great recipes in there. Lots of things that you can make really tasty. It goes anywhere from alcoholic beverages to desserts and candies and everything in between. So you're going to see a lot of stuff on the Sinfully Low Carb site that is not there yet. It's only got, like, I want to say five recipes on it, 5 videos on it right now. But I am working on it. But again, let me tell you a little bit about my story and why I've done this. I am a type 2 diabetic, and my blood sugars were way out of control. They are better now. They're not completely in control, but I am off insulin. I'm not on metformin. I'm not on any of the medications. I'm trying to do it completely by diet. Now, the happy side effect of that was in the last year and a half, I have lost almost 100 pounds. I do have a picture of me before it started. I don't like to show it. I can't really figure out how to get it on here, so I probably won't. But I'm very round faced. You can tell that I've got a lot of weight on me. And right now, my biggest problem is I don't have any clothes that fit. So that's been kind of fun. But like I said, it was a happy coincidence. I didn't do it for weight loss. I did it for blood sugar control. So what I started doing was I got a little app called Carb Manager. It's a great little app and it allows you to track your carbs and your fats and your sugars and all kinds of stuff in that great little app. And I've used it to kind of meal plan. And that's the key to making this kind of a lifestyle change, is that you have to meal plan. It has to be um kind of figuring out, you look at, depending on what you're trying to keep down. If you're trying to keep fats down, then you can look at how many fats per day, and you can set it up so that it tells you when you are going over that amount. If you're doing for blood sugar, and yeah, exactly, Sophia. The worst part is finding clothes. I'm in that right now. So, um, but it kind of helps you along, and that's what I use. If you'll notice, all the nutritional information on the new Sinful Low Carb, that all comes from Carb Manager. I write the recipe and I put everything in it, and I get the nutritional values for fats, carbs, proteins, and calories. So it gives you a way to count all three of those things. So if you want a high protein diet, you can go that direction. If you want a low carb diet, it'll give you those numbers. If you want a low fat diet, and same thing with calories. But it has a whole lot more information as you go down into it. So that is where I'm getting that information from. It's actually a pretty good little app, and it is what I use. I will meal plan for the day or the week as to what it is I'm going to make and how it's going to go. It's a tool to use, and it's a good one. So again, Carb Manager is the name of the app. You can find it, and it's free, or you can pay for it if you want the premium. It gives you extra recipes and stuff like that they do. Anyhow, so that's the Carb Manager app. And so what I do is I limit myself to 50 carbs per day, no more. And so why I say you have to plan is you have to plan, say, I want a dessert that night. I have to plan for that dessert throughout the day. So I'll do without some things just so I can add a little bit of buffer in the carbs area so that I can have that sweet. It is a full lifestyle change, and it has made a huge difference. My blood sugars are not normal, but they're close and much better than they were. I mean, I will tell you, I was running in the 4 to 500 range in blood sugars. And and now I'm running in the 150. You should be under about 100 in reality. But, that's not bad, going from 4 to 500 to about a 120, 125. So, that's why I did it. Like I said, lost 100 pounds in a year and a half, and it was all by eating low carb. Now, again, I'm not talking keto. I'm talking low carb. Keto, when you do keto, you want to be under 20 net carbs per day. Hi, Joe. Like I said, I'm at 50. I try to hang around 30, but I give myself 50 as a little bit of a buffer, and I've done pretty well. But it has been a lifestyle change, and it has meant that I have to sometimes cook 2 meals, one for me and one for the family, because they don't need to do that. They're fine. They don't want any part of it. So, they get the pastas and the breads and the potatoes and that type of thing. Thank you, Joe. That kind of thing. Whereas I don't get those things, or unless if I do get those things, I plan for them. That's where that buffer comes in. So I find this an easier way to control my blood sugars. And again, the happy coincidence is the weight loss. So it will work for people. And if you don't want to go full keto, which I did not, I sure don't want to support you, Dr. Who, Ian Falco's father, who is the guru of this. I mean, if you get into these keto groups and they all talk about, go see Dr. Berg, and I keep saying, no, I don't want to support a Scientologist. So I don't want my money going to Scientology, and so I'm not gonna support him in any way. Um, but I'm kinda doing this on my own, and I'm not following a true plan, but again, I'm keeping it under a certain amount in net carbs per day. Now, net carbs, when you look at carbs, when you look at a box of, I don't know, Cheerios, and you look on the side on the nutritional information, the way you get net carbs is you look down and you see what the total carbs are, then you subtract how much fiber is in it, and if they're using sugar alcohols, which is like the monk fruits or the I don't erythritols, that type of stuff. Now, I am going to make a little statement here, just coming from my veterinary background. There is a product called xylitol. You see it in the sugar-free gums a lot. Xylitol, while a great sugar replacement, is highly, highly deadly to animals. So I don't even allow it in my house. Um, had we I had we had a patient come in, a cat once, that had walked across the counter with somebody who had baked, I can't remember what she said she baked, but anyway, she had baked something and she used xylitol, and the cat walked across the counter hours later and picked up a little bit of the dust on its paws, and then of course when it cleaned itself, well, we saw that cat in emergency, and unfortunately we could not pull him out of it. So it is very deadly, so do be aware that xylitol begins with an X. Xylitol is, if you have pets, don't have it in your house because it is highly, highly deadly. Um, but for us, we seem to do just fine with it. Don't ask me why, but it does. Now, I'm very, sugar replacement sensitive. I have a lot of allergies to those kinds of things. And so I use a product called Botcha Sweet. It is pricey. It's a little, when you do these kind of lifestyles change, you're going to notice a jump in your grocery bill. Um, it will, it is more expensive to eat this way. And this is kind of one of my problems with the way groceries and that type of stuff are. Junk food is cheap. You can get junk food super cheap. You can fill your pantry or your refrigerator with it. However, it is not good for you. It is high in carbs, high in fats. Um, Nutritional value is basically nil. And, a bag of Cheetos is cheaper than getting a bag of, say, the seaweed chips, or a bag of, you know, something that's more nutritional. Bag of carrots. I mean, you can get a bag of Cheetos for less than you can get a bag of carrots. And that's why you see a lot of these people who are on SNAP um, buying products that are not very nutritional, because you can get more and get more for your family. And this is a problem here in the States. And the reality of it is even though we're eating well, we're eating junk food, so we're starving. Our bodies are starving for the good foods that we need. So that's an issue. And you will notice as you go into doing these better foods, these better diets, the low carb, that type of stuff, that you will discover that your grocery bill is going to go up. Um, Not a whole lot you can do about it, and it's really annoying. Um, well, when we're talking low carb, we're not talking all meat, okay? In fact, you do wanna use lean meats. You're talking about good quality fats like avocado and olive oil. You can, if you like avocados, this is your diet, because it loves avocados. I eat like an avocado a day, I'm telling you. Absolutely love them. I throw them with a couple of tomatoes and a little bit of, balsamic, or a little bit of a, balsamic vinaigrette, and absolutely love it. So you're basically what this diet is you're going to be high on meats because your protein's going to be high. It's going to be really high on fats. Your doctor's probably going to go, "Oh my God, don't do that because your cholesterol is going to go up." Well, yeah, it is. But they look at total numbers usually, and they'll see like, "Oh my God, you went up to whatever on your total numbers." And I literally had to tell the doctor and my endocrinologist, I said, "Let's look at the breakdown. What kinds of cholesterol are we talking here?" Well, what had happened is I had all these healthy fats that I had added to my diet to fuel my body instead of the sugar and the carbs, had upped my good cholesterol and lowered my bad. Well, that wasn't as bad as what she thought. So she was like, "Oh, well, okay." And then the next time I walked in, she said, "Oh my God, these numbers are so much better because the cholesterol actually went down." She says, like another person better, like a whole other person better. So like I said, you will get a spike in your cholesterols right as you start, probably the first 3 months, and then it will actually drop. So let your doctor know and have a discussion about what kind of cholesterols we're talking about here when you go in to visit your doctor. And they go, "Oh my God, your cholesterol levels are off the charts," or whatever. The other thing you have to remember is that the fat that you stored in your body is also has cholesterol in it. So as you start burning that fat to fuel your body, it's going to release those cholesterol cells. So again, you're going to get a bump until you kind of get through that process. So, so Joe says that she tried erythritol as a sweetener once. It gave us the shits. Sorry for the TMI. Yeah, it's notorious for that. Especially if you use a lot of it. It is sort of as an erythritol base. It is a mixture, and that's what I use. The Bacha sweet is made from the kombucha squash, so it doesn't tend to do that as badly. But yeah, erythritol will do that to you. It's really, really known for that. So yeah, I can see that. If you get like um the Russell Stover's candies, the sugar-free candies that they get, and you eat a whole thing of them, yeah, you're gonna have gastric issues pretty quickly. So yeah, I can understand that, Joe, and I do. I've had a little bit of that, but I had a whole lot more on metformin. I will tell you that. I had my gallbladder removed probably about 20 years ago, and yeah, metformin and all those pills that they give you for diabetes was a whole lot worse than dealing with the erythritol. And like I said, I used erythritol sparingly. I used the Bacha Sweet more, but you know, erythritol is good. Now, erythritol, if you mix with monk fruit, which is what most of those are, actually doesn't do too badly. It cuts that erythritol thing. And the other thing about erythritol is that I don't know if you'll notice, but if you put it in like sweets, and my perfect example is the fantasy fudge that you guys will start to see on the Simply Low Carb channel. It is a sugar-free fudge, and I use Swerve in it. And one of the things that erythritol does is it gives you a cooling sensation at the tail end. And some people don't like that, but put it in a peppermint patty and it's perfect because it gives you that cooling sensation that a lot of people like at the end of a little peppermint patty thing. So Sophia says, "I never liked how much fat is made out to be bad in general. There is a difference, and there is. It depends on what kind of fat we're talking about. There are healthy fats and there are not so healthy fats. The saturated fats in animal flesh, if you have like a fatty ribeye or fatty chuck roast, those fats are not particularly good for you. In fact, they're really not good for you at all. However, if you get like a piece of chicken, better to get the skin on and get that with that little bit of fat. Now, the bone in, I made last night. I made one of my low carb meals. It's called a Mexican chicken soup. It's also on the non low carb side called a tortilla soup. The biggest difference is I don't put tortillas in it when I do it as the Mexican chicken. I don't do it when uh, do the tortilla soup. We use chips at the bottom, for the tortilla feel, but the Mexican chicken soup is amazing. And what I did was I took a whole chicken and dumped him in a pot and boiled him down, and all that bone and all the collagen in there, the fats and so forth, made probably one of the richest broths that, I mean, it's amazing. And so, it does depend on the fats, and like I said, the fats that I use now, I don't use any vegetable oil, I don't use, canola oil, no corn oil, none of those. What I use is avocado oil if I need a high smoke point, if I'm doing something like a fry where I'm using high temperature, or olive oil, and that's it. I don't use anything other than those 2, um, and they're healthy fats, and that's kind of why, you know, I use them, and that's why my good cholesterol actually came up, was because of those fats. Now, Sophia adds to it, she says, by saying, "Imagine a Mediterranean kitchen without the fats. That would take all the taste out of it." Yes, and that's the key thing. You have to realize, let me tell you a little bit about people when they say low fat or fat free. Okay? Fat is flavor, folks. Um, I don't know if you guys have heard it said millions of times, but they'll sit there, all those Iron Chefs and all those people will say, "Fat is flavor." It is. And when you take out the fat, when they take out the low fat or fat free, you know what they put in it so that it tastes good? They put carbohydrates. Well, what do carbohydrates turn into depending on the kind? Now, you do need some carbohydrates in your diet, but depending on the kind, what does it turn into when it breaks down? It turns into sugar. So, are you truly, when you're doing something fat free, are you truly helping yourself out or not? Because I mean, gee whiz, you take that fat free, they've shoved it full of carbohydrates. I mean, next time you go and you look at, let's say, fat free sour cream or fat free salad dressing, look at the nutritional information on the back and see how many carbohydrates are in there versus one that's just the normal. Okay? And you'll see the difference. It's amazing to me how they do that. So I mean, those are things you have to watch for. That's why I don't do anything that's fat free. I use full on butter. Um, I do, I make my own dressings. I don't use store bought. So I've got, a balsamic vinaigrette that I make. I have a honey mustard that I make, and it is amazing. In fact, I think my honey mustard, is the same one that I used on the honey mustard chicken on the Sinfully Good channel. So I believe that's the mixture, as I recall. And now, granted, on that one, I probably didn't. I probably made it slightly different because it was not going to the low carb, but I will be putting up those dressings and those types of things for people who want to try those. I have an amazing honey lemon truffle um, recipe. It's actually a recipe that my mentor, Chef Sean, came up with, and it is really, really good. Hello, Kim. How are you? Um, so Kim says her lab work was better when she stopped eating fat-free and sugar-free products. I love eating like I did in 1983. I still do aloe vera shots. And aloe vera is really not bad. Interestingly enough, I actually do olive oil shots every morning. So, I get you. But yeah, eating the fat-free is really not the way to go. I mean, your labs will show that that fat free is just not it. They may use better oils, maybe, but all of those carbs just really, really will rock your world. So that's kind of way I do the low carb. And again, like I said, we're only discussing this. It's not advice. And again, if you are doing something, especially for health reasons, if you're making a lifestyle change in your diet, and you should do this anytime you make any kind of dietary lifestyle change, is to talk to your doctor first and make sure that they are on board. And sometimes, you have to kind of fight and be an advocate and say, well, let's see what this does. Give me, 3 months, 6 months, and let's see what happens. And I will tell you, my doctor was incredibly surprised. So I am going to show like I said, this is the sister channel to Sinfully Good. It is called Sinfully Low Carb. This is the one that in fact, the issue with Denver Stevo is what made me say, okay, I need to sit down and go ahead and do this. Sinfully Low Carb was actually supposed to be the original. That was what I do. And one of the things I do in that is I take recipes that are favorites of mine from childhood, things that I ate when I felt like I could eat the world, when I felt like I could eat anything. And I take those recipes because my philosophy in this is you can't no lifestyle change or diet change is going to be successful if you deprive yourself completely of those things that you love that got you where you are. Okay. So to kind of rethink that, I decided that what I was going to do is go in and have a list of things that are low carb that I can augment or I can put in replace of the things that were high carb in those diets and try it out. And my family had to be guinea pigs. So basically what I did was I made the adjustments and I did the macros and I made sure all this was great. And then I fed it to the family and didn't tell anybody. And if the family, if they said, damn, that was good. Can we do that again? The lasagna is a really good example. That was so good. And I don't know what those noodles were, but they soaked up the sauce so well and they tasted so good. But the family turns around and says thumbs up, I know it's a winner, and then it becomes part of the repertoire. It will have a video made, it will have, all of the stuff done. So that's kind of how that worked. And like I said, the Sinfully Low Carb was supposed to be the original. Well, at the time, I wasn't really pushing the low carb when I started that one. At that point, I was on. You kind of have to. It's all about moderation. So when you're doing low carb, you give it a little bit of time, about 6 to 8 weeks, couple of months, and then you kind of come off of it for a short bit. But you do it in moderation. So you instead of limiting to 50, I limited to 75 is basically what happened in that. And that's 75 net carbs. And in that, it didn't affect my blood sugars that much. And I mean, they raised a little. But what it did was it knocked me off a plateau, because you plateau in these things and you'll suddenly realize that, your sugars aren't going down. Or if you're doing it for weight loss, your weight's not going down, it's sitting in one spot. So if you come off of it for about a week or two and then go back onto it, you'll see that you go through that plateau. So a lot of people fast for that. I don't particularly. Again, with blood sugar issues, the last thing I want to do is go low sugar. So I don't tend to fast during that. There's a lot of argument about whether or not, that's, especially on a diabetic, if that's a good thing to do. I don't believe it is. I mean, like I said, you don't want to go low sugar and then have to do a thing of orange juice just to bump your sugars up to get them right, because then you're going to be seesawing and you're doing this number. And so we don't want to do that. So anyway, so Kim D. Hay, I hope that's right. Joe says a huge chunk of indoctrinated brain fell away 72 hours ago. A huge weight was removed from my thought process. It is wonderful. Well, congratulations. I must have missed the initial comment, but I'm glad you're feeling great, and I'm glad that you had a huge weight removed off of your shoulders back or whatever. So also, let's say this. Kim has a channel. It's begun. I'm ready. My channel has begun. My mom and her friends made one video, have tons of view hours already. Awesome. Welcome to the family. Welcome to the rat race, as we say. Oh my god, I have to go and produce a video today. I do one every day, at least I try to. I did do one yesterday. Yesterday was a really, really busy day for me. Didn't have a whole lot of time, and so I didn't really get it up and going. So, um, at 2 o'clock in the morning, I dropped one. It was a cheeseburger, stuffed cheeseburger. It's really good, and it's actually, if you leave the bun out and you cut back on the caramelized onions, which is really hard, or leave them out entirely, that particular recipe is also low carb. It's one that you can have on a low carb diet. So, the thing with low carb is do lean ground meats, lean meats, with a little fat. You don't want a whole lot, but a little bit's okay. Chicken, fish, pork, if you can trim it a little bit, the marbling will help on that. It's not, and pork doesn't have a whole lot of marbling, like when you're talking about the loin. Now, other cuts of pork will have more. I use a good deal of flank steak. I use a lot of sirloin, uh, all because those are leaner. Now, I have to have, when, at least once a month, I have to have my ribeye. And that's when I say it becomes a meal planning issue. So, we're working on that one, but I every once in a while I have to have a fatty steak. And the other thing that I also advocate in doing this, sorry, my back hurts, so I'm kind of shifting around a little bit. But anyway, one of the other things I advocate is in the week, again, this is to keep you happy and on your lifestyle change, is I pick a cheat day. That's the day where I pick one thing that might not be the best thing for me, and I go ahead and indulge in moderation. Okay, so it's like, I really don't like the commercial low carb ice creams. I just don't care for their textures and flavors. And pronounced high, thank you. Um, anyway, I don't care for the textures and flavors. So I will go ahead, and what I do is I get the fudge pops. They're little single fudge pops, and I will plan that day for fudge pop. So I might, have just avocado with no tomato, because I like to mix avocado and tomato and put a little dressing on it. I'll just have an avocado by itself because I like avocado. That will be my lunch. Or I will have a little bit of tuna with nothing on it, at lunch. Or for breakfast, I might have, an egg instead of having an egg with bacon and that type of stuff. So I will plan that ahead because I'm having my fudge pop that night, because that's my cheat day. But I only have it one night a week, so um, I do have a cheat day, and so you kind of have to plan for those and say, okay, today's my cheat day. Every, I don't know, Thursday I have a cheat day. So every Thursday I'm going to allow myself one thing in moderation, as a treat for staying on the plan the entire week. It's sort of rewarding yourself, and it gives you that feel good that I did this, so now I get my treat. And that is really and truly some of the little secrets that I use. Now, Kim has a question. I have an 8 to 10 ounce stomach. I graze too much. I need to have more meals. All right. My suggestion to you is then small frequent, and just be really conscious about what it is you're eating during those times. If you're going low carb, or if you're again, you came off a low fat, as I recall, so that's awesome. But if you're trying to do low carb, a couple of carrots, a handful of nuts. I mean, one of the things that I do, some people don't like dark chocolate, but I'll give myself maybe 8 dark chocolate M&Ms, just because they're lower in sugar and lower in the fats, or lower in the carbs. Dark chocolate is lower than, say, milk chocolate. So, give yourself a little treat. Hi, Joel. So you can do that. Again, I do avocados as snacks. the carb manager thing that I was talking about earlier does allow for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and 2 snacks. Um, if that's what you need to do, eat every 2 hours or so, then do it. But just, handful of nuts, carrots for snacks, then have your regular meals. Now, granted, if you have a small stomach, your regular meals, I mean, your chicken is going to fit in the palm of your hand right here. So, your steaks and your burgers and that type of stuff. One of the things that you can do is, a lot of times they say, don't eat bread. Well, don't eat bread is correct. I mean, I don't eat a whole lot of bread. It's pretty rare. Um, but you can take a sandwich and roll it in a carb-free wrap, in a tortilla, or you can do lettuce wraps. And they're good, and you're making your sandwich in a lettuce wrap. So that's a way to do it. So Kim says she has a lot of questions for me. Watch everything I do. Thank you so much. Changing up my annual food storage to include fun foods like you do. Yeah, and like I said, Kim, what I'm doing on the Sinfully Good channel is I'm not caring about the carbs. I'm just throwing stuff out there that I do that's good. Um, the Sinfully Low Carb channel, there is a link to it. It's called a sister, where you get the you put all the affiliated channels. Underneath that, there's another one. It's called Sister Channel. That is the way to Sinfully Low Carb. Or I can give it to you here, which is this. That is the way to get to Sinfully Low Carb. See if I can put that. I have to pull it up. Give me a minute. I'll put it in the chat so you can link to it. Let me pull up. Sorry, it's taking me a minute. Let's see. Nope, that's not the one I want. Well, I can get there. Anyway, there it is. All right. So maybe I can put links. We'll see if I can put links in there. I don't know. We'll have to see. So let me go back to comments. All right, there is the link to, excuse me, got an itch under my nose. There's the link to the Sinfully Low Carb. If you want to head there, go ahead and subscribe. But like I said, right now, it's just starting. I am just beginning to get stuff over there. Basically, what I'm doing is I'm actually running through and taking the ones from Sinfully Good that are basically low carb to begin with and moving them over. So that's what you're seeing happen now. It's just taking me a little time. So do be aware of that. Oh yeah, and make sure you hit the like button. That would be really nice. Very few people over there right now. But it's there. It's for you guys to use. It is a sister. Sorry, I'm checking out the comments and trying to get everybody everything set up here. So anyway, so like I said, Kim says she has a whole lot of questions. So your question is related to having better carbs in your meals. Okay. Let me see if I can find the actual final of that question, because I think I've missed it. Or maybe you haven't got it yet. I don't see it yet. Anyway. All right. Yeah, let me know what your question is for having better carbs. I'll see what I can do for you. I will, on that channel, actually in the community section, once I get to there, I will do a carb necessity shopping list that might help you, or I'll give you a link. YouTube is really arguing with me about being able to put outside links, on the Sinfully Low Carb site. I've done their thing and they said, oh, great, you can do it now. But when I try, it won't let me. So basically what I'm doing, if I'm doing a link that's an outside link for the Sinfully Low Carb, I'm giving you a link to the video that it's in on Sinfully Good, and I'm dropping the links in there. So you'll find them in the Sinfully Good descriptions. It's a pain. I do apologize, but YouTube is, yeah. Anyway, so so that's what's going on, and I'm trying. Thank you, Kim, for subscribing. So when you're talking about better carbs in your meals, you know, some of the carbs that like I said, avocados, I put avocados in just about everything. Avocados are a great replacement for potatoes in certain things, like in the Mexican chicken soup. I actually, after it's all done, I put it in my bowl and I chunk up some avocados and drop them in there. And so it's a really nice little creamy surprise when you get a spoonful of avocado with your soup, and it is really good. So it's a high fat, high good fat, low carb way for you to get some of your fats and your better carbs. Again, lean meats, your replacements for like flour, you can use nut flours. If you're allergic to nut flours, you can use things like oat fiber. Again, that's kind of a gluten issue, but not the flour, it's oat fiber. They also make a bamboo fiber, and I will tell you the bamboo fiber is a little pricey. In fact, I'm in the process of ordering it for there was a lady by the name of Victoria that did a new flour. She made a flour mixture you make at home that had bamboo fiber and xanthan gum in it. And it's supposedly incredible. And so I'm going to make up a batch of it, and then I'm going to make some pasta out of it. I'm going to really test it, see if it holds together. The biggest problem I've had with trying to do the low carb pasta stuff is that it falls apart. It doesn't have the gluten to hold it together. So I'm going to try it with this flour. I'm going to do dumplings. We'll see how that goes, because that's another one. And I will be doing a bread and a biscuit. So we'll see how those go. I'm hearing it's really, really good for that kind of stuff. So, you know, pumpkin seed oil. Yeah, that one's a good one as well. So, and chia seeds, the chia seeds are really filling, and they're good, really good for fiber, and they're good. They have a good fat in them. So chia seeds are really, and they're filling because they kind of blow up. A lot of people make a chia seed pudding, which they use. I'd have to go look it up. I don't know it off top. I haven't made it yet. It's one of those ones that I'm going to try, but I haven't gotten to yet. But basically they take chia seeds in a liquid and some sort of fruit flavoring. They stick it in the refrigerator overnight, and they probably use heavy cream or an almond milk or something like that. And then they Mike died. That's what it was. At least I didn't spend 17 minutes like Denver Steve-O, right? You know. That was too funny. Did y'all catch the Xeno Nation last night? Poor Denver. I think he did the same thing I just did and hit the mic, and but didn't know it for like 17 minutes. And the chat was really funny in that. It was really funny. So at least I didn't do that. I caught it pretty quickly. My ears told me. So Sophia made a little lifestyle change after she ended up moving less into 2020. We all moved less. Majorly cut down on processed sugars, yes, and used less butter, allowing me to indulge in stuff like I like better and still enjoy. And that's what I talk about, meal planning and having to plan for when you're going to have things that you truly enjoy. So basically what Sophia did was she got rid of her sugars, which you should. I mean, get rid of those processed sugars. If you're going to use sugars, use natural sugars or the sugar replacements. I will occasionally use very sparingly, because again, sugar reacts with me and I will sugar spike. But I will use sometimes a natural brown sugar, that, the sugar in the raw stuff. Basically, it's still pretty processed, so I use a different one, but a natural sugar, things like palm sugar, coconut sugar. There's all kinds of different natural sugars out there. Honey, I mean, my goodness, doesn't get any more natural than honey, right? Now make sure you're getting pure honey. I get mine from a guy actually who raises bees, so that's where my honey comes from. Now I get it in a big jar with a comb in it, and I move it over into little squirt jars without the comb. So sometimes you'll see me when I'm doing a recipe that I'm using the honey. It'll look like one of those regular bear, they look like little bears jars, and I will do that. But that's the natural honey coming from the other. I've washed that jar out. It's been dealt with. I've been using it for years. So that's honey's a really, really good natural sugar. So yeah, definitely do that. And again, less butter. Now I use a lot of butter. Um, my son calls me Paula Deen because I use a lot of butter. But butter is a not too bad fat. Now, here's the thing with butter versus margarine. A lot of people sit there and they'll say, oh, well, you should use margarine because it's low fat. Well, remember what I said about low fat? They fill it full of carbs. So a lot of times you get that margarine's got a lot of carbs. Sometimes you don't. Some of the good ones you don't. But here's the other thing. It's also made with man-made products. It's not a natural product. It's using oils that are man-made, synthetic, and highly processed. And so in my opinion, and I've heard this from numerous other people, margarine, because of all the processed in it, is not particularly good for you. I'm going to grab something real quick. Give me a minute. I think I've got sound going in two places, so we're going to put that up. My little earbud decided to die. But anyway, so I use natural butter. I use unsalted natural butter. So, losing that fat is probably just fine. Let me go, since I've had a couple of more things. Yeah, did you see that, Kim? It was really funny. So yeah, like I said, I don't use chia seeds. I haven't used pumpkin oil either yet. I haven't tried it. I want to. The opportunity yet. I haven't seen it in the store, so it's one of those things that, as of yet, I haven't tried, but I do want to. So, maybe I'll order it on Amazon. You know how that goes. I'm still waiting on the German mustard, Sophia. It's supposed to be coming from Amazon. So Kim's asking Sophia if she uses chia seeds. Chia seeds, like I said, are a good natural fat, and they're very filling. So yeah. Yeah, chia seeds are great in smoothies. They're really good in smoothies, actually. All right, hang on, Joel. I'm getting to you here. We have become a gadget house. Instant pot, air fryer, rice cooker, stick mixer. Okay, Sin, this is your fault. Don't blame me. Those things are great. Every one of them. I love my Instant Pot. I mean, for me to do a stovetop pot roast, it takes about 4 hours. I can get it done in 30 minutes in my Instant Pot. Now, I will tell you, I do not like the way it's a texture thing for me. I don't like the texture of the carrots and potatoes coming out of the Instant Pot. So what I do is I oven roast those. Of course, with me, on potatoes, I leave those out, and what I replace those with is actually chunks of zucchini and yellow squash and mushrooms. Mushrooms are a great potato replacement. It kind of gives you that same feel, and they taste good. They pick up all that flavor from whatever you're making. But the stick mixer, I love that thing. You'll love it if you have to make a pureed soup like a gazpacho, or maybe even a pumpkin or squash soup, because you can just take that stick blender and stick it right in there and turn it on, and yeah, you're done. I don't have a rice cooker, so you're ahead of me on that one. Although my Instant Pot is an air fryer. We'll make yogurt. We'll make all kinds of stuff. It's a dehydrator, all of that stuff. So it's actually kind of funny. But if it's my fault for you to get better appliances and make things your life easier, then I will take the blame, Joel. So, anyway, let's see. Kim, I like to buy fresh fruit and make my own jam by adding chia seeds. Sweet, easy, and yummy. I can see that. The only thing that I'm going to tell you a little bit about fresh fruit, especially on low carb, is that you're basically limited to strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, blackberries, boysenberries, the little small ones. Um, Bananas, apples, peaches. Now, peaches aren't too bad, again, in super moderation, because they do have a lot of sugar. Those kinds of things I have to do those as treats. I will get some watermelon. I have, like, I don't know, about a cup and a half chunks. And that's a treat. Peaches, same way. I can have a small peach as a treat. But yeah, you can't. There, it's really fruits are funny, and and again, on the Sinfully Low Carb, as I throw things into the community, I will also put things, what the carb counts and sugar counts are on different fruits and vegetables, because there are vegetables that, um, while you look at them and say, oh, well, that should be healthy and good, actually aren't. You know, a lot of people replace potatoes with cauliflower, and cauliflower is good. But you turn around and onions, honest to God, are pretty high in carbs. So you have to use those sparingly. Potatoes, you give them up. They're way up there. And here's something really funny, because you'll see people, they go, okay, I'm going on a diet and I'm having sweet potatoes instead of regular potatoes. You're better off having the regular potatoes, because the sweet potato is worse. So do be aware of that. So that's one of the things that, to think about. There are certain vegetables that broccoli is a little high. I do a lot of broccoli. I use a lot of broccoli in what I do, but that's made corn. You can't do corn. Corn is very, very high, and that's one of the things in the Mexican chicken soup. You'll see that there's corn and black beans, because both of those are pretty high in carbohydrates, and so you can't really use them a lot. Again, for um, the Mexican chicken soup, you don't put the beans and corn in like you do in the tortilla soup. The reason you're going to see it in the video and the pictures is because that's actually the tortilla soup that I was making. And so, excuse me, sorry about back's hurting. Anyway, so that's actually the tortilla soup I was making. So I added the beans and corn. So for the Mexican chicken soup, you leave the beans and corn out. But again, you can add different things that are really good. Like I said, when I make it for the Mexican chicken soup, and leave the beans and corn out. It's got the chicken, it's got the rotel, it's got all the yummy stuff in there, and then I chop up an avocado and toss it in there, throw a bit more cheese on it, and add some sour cream, and it's, you know that bulks it up. That does for the Mexican chicken soup what the beans and the corn do for the tortilla soup. So, that's kind of how I work that. So again, it's one of those things where it's an adjustment. It's adjustment in your lifestyle, and it is what we do. So Sophia says, I will say I lived in Austria at the time and had an insanely fast metabolism while moving a lot. Before I got a little crazy, before on butter and sugar, I won't eat margarine ever. Yeah, I agree with you. Margarine's not good for you. And they sit there and they say, okay, well, it's lower in saturated fats. Okay, but it's still got a lot of fat in it, and it's all synthetics, or canola oil, and canola oil is really not good for you. I mean, you got to stay away from it. Go with good for you oils. Like I said, the avocado oil, it's high in omega-3s. It's really, really, I mean, if you're having a cholesterol problem, avocado oil and olive oil are probably your best bets, because they are so high in omega-3s. The other thing, I eat a lot of salmon. My family hates salmon. I have only one other person in the family who will eat salmon. So if you ever see any of the fish recipes, you'll notice that there's a salmon version, and then there's a somewhat whatever kind of whitefish version. Well, the whitefish version is because there's two people in my family who will not eat salmon. So they like tuna. Well, one of them likes tuna. The ahi tuna steaks, they like those, but they don't like salmon. So that's why you'll see two different recipes coming out at the same time on those, just so you know that's what's happening. So cheese is I eat a lot of cheese. Cream cheese. I use cream cheese. I make smoothies with cream cheese. Um, I make well, like the lasagna that I'm trying to get to. Hopefully, I'll get to it this weekend. I make a noodle. Remember, I was telling you about the noodle. I make it's a noodle. Okay, we're gonna air quote that one. It's actually a bread is what it is, but it's a thin when you make it, it's almost a paste, and then you spread it out on parchment paper, and it's mozzarella, trying to remember what it's all. I'd have to pull up the recipe, but anyway, mozzarella, cream cheese, an egg. I think that's the liquid in it. I throw some Italian seasoning in it just so I've got it flavored, and then you spread it on a baking sheet on parchment paper, wax paper on a baking sheet as thin as you can and bake it, you know, and then you cut it up to make whatever noodle you want. Or it's also a great pizza dough, guys. It's good. It's great as a pizza dough. Our base for a pizza. It's like getting the ones you get at the grocery store that are ready made, and you just put the sauce on and all your stuff, and then bake it. This works really well for that, and it's low carb, and so that one doubles for it, and I will talk about that. But anyway, I make this dough, or this noodle, quote unquote, and I use a pizza cutter, and I cut it into strips for lasagna, and you'll see that whole process when I do it. And like I said, I've got the stuff to make lasagna. I just need to make the noodle and buckle down and do that. And I haven't done that because I had a lot going on. So anyhow, where was I going with that? I hate when that happens. But anyway, so that, like I said, you can't use pasta, but you can do other things, and I'm hoping to show you how. Let's see. I think Sophia said to Kim that she's had chia seeds in smoothies, and they're a good thickener, lots of fiber. And remember, anytime you have whatever this is what's interesting. If you're having something that's really carby, have something with a lot of fiber with it, because the fiber is going to knock down that carbiness. So, I remember when we're talking about net carbs, we're talking about total carbs minus fiber minus sugar, alcohol. So, so that will help. So if I'm having something really carby, I'll throw some sort of kale or chia seeds or flax seeds or something in there, just kind of knock down the carb on it. So most mornings, Kim says, I use 2 small 8-ounce mason jars, and in 10 minutes make my own butter, slowing down the chicken arms and having fresh butter daily. Yeah, there you go. And I've thought about that. I do that on occasion. I also make my own mayonnaise. Mayonnaise is super easy. And Joel, when you do mayonnaise, when I show you how to do homemade mayonnaise, that stick blender, you're going to love that, because that's what I use to make that homemade mayonnaise. And that stick blender, just you put all your stuff in the jar and stick the stick blender in it, and you're done. It gets it done really quick. So like I said, I make my own mayonnaise. I actually have a recipe of making my own ketchup. I have a maple syrup that I make. I have a simple syrup that I make. I can make blueberry syrup for if you're doing like a pancake or so. I have been working on this for a while. It's this close to being there. I think I'm very close, but it's a oh goodness, it's a pancake recipe that I'm actually using carbonated water in. That's part of the process, because it gives it rise. So it's kind of an interesting little recipe. And like I said, it's right here. I'm almost there. I could probably put it out and be fine, but I want a little bit more rise. I like thick pancakes, so that's kind of what I do. Anyway, so yes, making that fresh butter, yum. I want to come to your house for that. All right, Joe. Have I ever tried brunost? It's a Norwegian type of cheese with a sweet taste. I have. I don't. I didn't know what it was. That's the first I've heard of it. So that should answer your question. I have not. Um, it would be interesting. I would enjoy trying. I'd have to actually take a look and see what the breakdown, the nutritional breakdown in is, it to see what the carb count is on it. But that would be interesting if I could find it. That's the other side of that. So, um, yes, as as Sophia says, carbonated water is a great pancake trick. It is. It is. It gives you a rise. An interesting thing about, when you're talking about low carb, you're still able to use baking powder, baking soda. It's so little, it doesn't mess with your carb count too much, but it will give you the rise that you want. So, couple of things I'm experimenting on. Again, pancakes will be another one of those things that I use, that flour that I've just come across. It is a keto flour, but it's made in your house, so you get the ingredients and you make it. Um, so it's not like you're trying to order the whole thing from Amazon, or pre-made. And if you do pre-made, it's, for one thing, you don't know what's in it, which is why I like to make some of these things at home, because I know exactly what's in it. And the other thing is that you're not paying the price of the middleman who's putting it together and packaging and sending to the grocery store and paying the truck. You've got the ingredients and you're doing it, that way. So that's what makes that really nice. This is it's a version 2.0. I mentioned it on Denver Stevo the other night. I can't remember, uh, advanced keto flour or something like that. I've got her site bookmarked, and I'll be picking up that recipe and making it, and then doing stuff with it, and we'll see how it goes. We're gonna like I said, test it out. It's gonna go in pancakes. It's gonna go in pasta. It's gonna go in biscuits, dumplings, and breads. So I'm gonna give it a full test before I say, okay, this stuff is awesome. But all of the reviews that I've read has been really positive. Really great. I don't know if anybody's tried it with pasta yet, because pasta, it's egg and flour, and then you throw it in the water real quick. And the problem with some of these almond flour, oat fiber, mozzarella cheese pastas that they come up with, the gastronomy ones, the ones where you take it and put it in a squirt bottle and you squeeze it into a thing of water, those, to me, they have that slimy shirataki, or whatever that other noodle is, taste. It's just not texture. It's wrong. The other ones, you throw it in a pot of boiling water to cook, and they fall apart. So you have basically nothing. So I'm looking forward. I'm really excited about this flour to see if it's going to hold up. So we'll see that. But yes, carbonated water is a great, anything you want to rise, that's light. You want something really light. And I mean, you use carbonate when you're doing, if you think about it, if you're doing, what's that fry method that you see in Chinese food? Tempura. If you're doing tempura, it's basically a cornstarch based flour and carbonated water. And you know how crunchy that is, right? And how it rises. So, I mean, that's kind of how that works. So Kim's had it. I bet you it's good. Y'all have to tell me where I can get some of that. I want to try that. Yeah, try the carbonated water trick. It's really good. Hey, Juliana, how are you? Short break in your studies. Well, I'm hoping you want a glass of wine now. You see in the background? Yeah, that's a fun background. I'm actually going to have another one done. I have a friend who's a photographer that I'm going to have do one. Well, we're talking about it right now. So anyway, yeah, it's one of those things. And again, the big issue here is, I guys, all of us, I mean, maybe you don't need to lose weight, and that's fine, and I get it, but you might, just really want to eat healthier. Denver needs help. We need to support him. He's, when he released his health issues, I really kind of jumped up and went, "What? Um, holy crap! I need to help this guy." Well, we all need to. I mean, he's very loved. I think he knows that. But if we can all kind of make a pact together, I mean, Marilyn, like I said, Marilyn and Liz have already done the weight loss pact, um, just to eat healthier. And be a support group for Denver, then that would be great because he's going to need it. I mean, he's used to eating and doing things a certain way. And like he did in that video, he thought he was invincible. Well, he's finding out that he's not so invincible. So let's see if we can help him out. So anyway, let me get back to the comments. Sorry. So you're responding in your stream. Whoops. So Sophia needs to make some pumpkin gnocchi. Sophia, recipe, please, because that's one of the ones that I'd like to try is a pumpkin gnocchi. I haven't got one. I'm a little concerned about the pumpkin being a little too watery because potatoes don't tend to be. So if you figure that one out, yeah, send me the recipe. So Kim has her own recipe for sweet potato gnocchi as a dessert with brown sugar, nutmeg, and caramel glaze. That sounds amazing. That also sounds like it would send my blood sugar through the roof. But it sounds amazing, Kim. Let's see. I'm trying to get here. Have I ever tried... Oops, sorry, wrong one. Have I ever tried... Joe, you have such wonderful ingredients that I have never heard of. I'm going to have to look some of this up and figure out what it is and where to get it, because it sounds like the pictures you sent me look amazing. And the recipes you sent me sound awesome. But some of the stuff I'm looking at you throw up there, I'm like going, what is that? I mean, is this a cheese or is it, what is it? All right, Juliana. I don't know. What? Wrong one. Where am I? Here it is. All right, never mind. You had something in some language I didn't know. Anyway, instead of going back to study, I'm actually watching on stream now. Streamception. Cool. Yeah, studying's kind of boring, I never did well in studying. That wasn't one of my things. I'm in. We all can help each other be more accountable for ourselves and our mental and physical health. Agreed. I don't know how Liz Ferris and Marilyn are going to track what it is that they're doing. I don't know how they're going to work that out. I think that's still up in the air. I think they're still trying to get Steve-O to agree to it. I'm trying to help by throwing him some recipes that he can do that are low carb, that to start out with. That's what you're seeing going up on the Sinfully Low Carb site. But anyway, I don't know how they're doing it, but I'm sure they're going to figure something out here really soon, and I'm signing up for it. I need to get to my goal weight. I need to lose another 50 pounds, and I will be at my goal weight. So, if I can help Denver and get to my goal weight and get my blood sugars right at the 100 mark or below, then yeah, I will do that, and I will do whatever I can to help Denver out in this. So, everybody, let's give Denver some assistance and some support, because he will need it in this. So, Joe tells me what this is. Now, I'm probably not saying it right. Oh, it's Brazilian. Oh. All right. So, Joe, do you have a recipe for that? Because that sounds really good. Pork, black beans, onions, sweet peppers, balsamic vinegar, chili, and lots of other delicious flavors. It sounds great. Yeah, sounds awesome. So Juliana's saying, from what I heard Liz say, there are no rules. Just keep track of your own weight loss. Now she's doing it for weight loss, but the other thing is that we can do it for healthier numbers, and that's going to be a little bit harder to do because a lot of that requires going to the doctor and finding out what your cholesterol levels are, or that type of stuff. So if somebody doesn't need to really lose weight, I mean, I think Sophia has sort of the opposite problem. Excuse me, I'm mouth dry. Or has had some of the opposite problem in that she has trouble gaining weight. Now I don't know where she's at now. We've kind of talked about it, and I'm not going to go there, but I think that some people actually, for health reasons, need to gain a little weight. And so, again, we're talking the same thing. I mean, we're talking about healthier living. We're just talking about whether or not you lose weight or get more exercise, or we're talking about healthier living, healthier eating. And like I said, it's going to be more expensive. My grocery bill, usually when I go into the low carb stuff, raises about $50 to $100, depending, because I'm buying a lot of cheese. I'm buying a lot of higher quality vegetables. I'm staying away from like the frozen, pot pies and French fries and that type of stuff. Although you can use things like frozen carrots, frozen broccoli, frozen Brussels sprouts, peas, those kinds of things. They're still good. But the ready-made stuff, there's a couple of things. There's a company that makes a really good shrimp scampi that comes in a bag, and that's what I'm trying to stay away from. And so, you're healthier eating. So, if you can do something that's healthier, that helps you, that lowers your blood sugars, I mean, that's a healthy difference. If you're borderline type 2, if you're pre-diabetic and you start on a healthier diet and you drop those carbs and you're building up, using it, that's something to track, and that's an improvement. And that's part of what we can do for Stevo, is that I'm doing this as for my blood sugars, and my blood sugars are dropping. Okay, it's a happy coincidence. If we lose weight, that's what happened to me. But the key thing is my blood sugars. That's what I'm watching. So if you have cholesterol issues and your cholesterol lowers on eating healthier, or those are things to track and report in assistance to Denver. It's not just weight, because some people don't need to lose weight. They need to make adjustments at other places. And so that's part of it. So, that's why you're asking, Juliana. Gotcha. Sophia, I've had pumpkin gnocchi version with tomatoes, sage in there. Fantastic, inspired, spur of the moment idea. Yes. You could chunk up a little guanciale, or one of those type of bacon, something like that. That would add to that with your tomatoes and sage, because sage and bacon, or sage and guanciale or prosciutto, I mean, match made in heaven. So, and pumpkin gnocchi with all of that. Oh God, yes. Sign me up. Anyway, Kim says she's going to try out the pumpkin gnocchi. Your combo of ingredients it does, doesn't it, Kim? So, everything that's easier and cheaper to cook, eat is yes. Like I said earlier, Juliana, in the stream, I was talking about how expensive healthy natural foods are, and organic foods are. Grass fed. I mean, if you're getting grass fed ground beef, or grass fed beef, or lamb, or any of that free range chicken, that's more expensive, and it's definitely healthier. It's not filled with preservatives and crap. It's not, the antibiotic stuff isn't there. All of that stuff does affect your health. I have a theory. I'm not going to say it's the truth, but it is my theory. And back when I was a kid, there weren't allergies like we have now. It wasn't anything to bring a peanut butter and jelly sandwich to school. Now you can't do that because the kid next to you might be allergic. We didn't have these allergies when I was a kid to all this stuff. And the only thing that I can see there, I mean, there's a lot of processed stuff and that type of stuff has come in, but the big change that I've seen in what's available in the grocery stores is everything is GMO. And, that's people messing with the genetics of the natural plant. And we don't know what the side effects of that are eventually, or maybe we're seeing them now in higher cholesterol levels, more allergies, those types of things. That I can't swear to that's a thing. It's a theory, but it's the only thing I can come up with. I mean, why do we have all these allergies all of a sudden? I can't figure it out, and that's the only major change that I can see. So I blame GMOs. I try to stay away from them. I'd rather buy heritage, but again, I mean that's why my grocery bill jumps 100 to $150, 50 to 100, $150 when I start going back to the low carb. Um, I have been off of it here for about a month. So I'm gonna go turn it back on. So that starts next week. So I'm enjoying the rest of this week and emptying out all the bad stuff and refilling with all the good stuff. So that's kind of what's happening here. But um, I think that you do a lot of cheese, you do a lot of nut milks, you do a lot of grass fed organic. Um, you're trying to do a clean diet when you do this, and it's expensive, and it's so much easier just to grab a TV dinner and throw it in the microwave, and you see people filling their carts with stuff that's not, I mean, really, it's not good for you. It's all junk food. It's all prepackaged, you know, ready to eat almost. It's and that's not healthy. But that's what people can afford. So the reality of it is we may have tons of food in our pantries and our refrigerators, but are we starving because it's not healthy? We're starving the ourselves of the great nutrients and the great um minerals and all of those things in natural foods because we're buying processed crap, and because it's easier and it's cheaper, and some people have to do that to make their grocery budget get there. I get it. I have to do it. We're a paycheck to paycheck family here. So I mean, I have to cut corners, unfortunately. And sometimes, I mean, spending $500 or $600 on 1 week's worth of groceries because I'm getting all natural and organic and grass fed and all that stuff. I can only do that, you know, 1 week out of the month if I'm lucky. Fortunately, I get enough of the stuff to kind of tide me over through the rest of the month. But um it'd be nice if the healthy foods and were what was less expensive. I think people would eat healthier. They wouldn't be starving their body of the good nutrients and so forth that they are now by eating processed foods. Anyway, thank you for hanging out with me, Kim. Enjoyed that. And Juliana's got to go back to studying. I understand that. We can probably wrap some of this up, but I do want to throw a couple of banners out here. Again, this is the sister channel to Sinfully Good. It's called Sinfully Low Carb. It's dedicated to Denver Stevo. I hope he finds it. I've sent him an email. And I'm working on stuff for him on that. But y'all are welcome to come and join and watch. There's very few videos on there. I'm still trying to get them shifted over, but I will start working on it. It's hard to do videos for two channels. So basically what I'm trying to do is do videos for both channels, one video, and share them and make the recipe adjustments on the Simply Low Carb that I need to. So that's happening there. Of course, all of you guys have subscribed. I do want to show you. Now, we say Southern Sweet Tea. Well, it's not exactly sweet, and I use Batcha Sweet. But anyway, if you would like to buy me a Southern Sweet Iced Tea, I have a Buy Me a Coffee link, and there it is. Anyway, so that's all of that. And let me go back to comments. Clearwater Chad is here. Hey, or Clearwater Clear is here. Hey, Claire, how you doing? hopefully you'll catch most of it on the replay. We're going to wrap it up here a little bit. I don't have the guests today. I kind of did this on my own, so um, I'm just kind of talking through it. But it's good to see you, and guys, I'm here for any questions. Let me get rid of that banner. Jeez. Sounds like I'm trying to use too much sugar. But anyway, um I'm I'm open for any questions or comments anytime. You're welcome to email me. I do have my email in the about section. Uh that type of stuff. So if you have questions, thoughts, ideas, if you want to challenge me to make something, send me an email. Let me know. If you want to challenge me to make something low carb that's not low carb. Now that takes a little bit of time because I have to go through it. I have to test it. Sometimes I have to switch out ingredients and adjust because cooking low carb is slightly, when you're using an almond flour, it's not, or a coconut flour. Here's the cute thing about coconut flour. If you're using coconut flour, you're going to use twice as much liquid than you normally would because coconut flour loves liquid and it will soak it all up. And so if I'm having to use something that I'm using coconut flour, I do one that I use coconut flour and whey protein powder. One of the recipes, in fact, that's actually the pancake recipe that I'm working on. The amount of liquid that I have to use in that is incredible. So, that's where that wonderful carbonated water comes in. That helps that. So anyway, Sophia likes to dry, fresh, affordable ingredients to have healthy pre-prepped options and get more for the money. Yeah. I have a dehydrator on my Instant Pot. So yeah, it helps, and I'll do that. The other thing I like to do is, and you guys will start seeing it on, I think you've seen part of it on the Sinful Good where I bought bulk meat. It's expensive at one time, so I do it in what I call I have first of the month, my first 2 weeks of the month are always tied up in bills. And then I have 2 weeks of the month where I call free checks. Those are the times when I go and I get all of my low carbon ingredients that I need to stock up on. I go ahead and buy my bulk meats. I bought a pork tenderloin. You're going to love this. I bought a pork tenderloin. This guy was, he's huge. Normally around $23, I want to say was the normal price on it. And they had it on special, and they took $5 off of that. So it cost me $18, and I got six pork chop meals out of it. So I cut it up, wrapped it, put it in my I have a food saver and did the vacuum seal, and I have 4 pork chop meals that will probably last me 6 weeks because I don't do pork chops all the time. I have others as well. So that's another thing. So that was a Costco thing, and yes, it is. I mean, it's expensive at that time, but I mean, when you're getting 6 meals for $18. If you do the math on that, I mean, pennies versus you're going to the grocery store and you're buying pork chops and, it costs you $11 to get, 6 pork chops, at the grocery store. And the math is just so much better. So, I have a video that's upcoming. I'm still doing the graphics on it, about buying bulk and cutting it down. I bought a 2 of the Norwegian wild caught sockeye salmon. I bought a prime rib roast that I cut 4 meals out of because I did, steaks this big. I mean, they're big. So I cut 4 meals out of that, which is 4 steaks. And then I did 2 of the pork loin because they were on sale. And I spent 260, 270 on just that. And it was just meat. But if I take and I divide into the meals those made, you can see where the savings is. So, so that's what I'm doing is I'm doing that kind of thing. So, Meats wise, I'm actually doing pretty well. I still have to get certain ones that I just get at the grocery store, But right now, I'm still trying to price out chicken. The thing is that I usually use chicken breasts. I don't usually tend to use whole chickens. And where the savings is on the whole chicken instead of, because you get two of them for $16, and I don't remember what I spent on the chicken that I 9, I want to say, or 10 on the whole chicken that I got. So yeah, again, math. Two for 16 or one for 10. So I mean, you're definitely doing a savings. So, but if I want to get just the chicken breast, because I do a lot with chicken tenders, you'll notice in these videos I use chicken tenders a lot, just because I like them and they're easy to cut up. They're easy to put in things. So I'll use chicken tenders, and I haven't seen Costco's chicken. They might be frozen. I haven't been over there, but I haven't seen them. I've seen the breasts, and they're already prepackaged, and they're a little pricey. So it's one of those things. I'm still in the process of finding out where your savings are. So anyway, so Claire says she adds a lot more vegetable, but tends to get frozen vegetables with meat to make it go further. Claire, I do the same thing. I use a lot of frozen vegetables. I have let's see. I've got a bunch of peas and carrots in my freezer. I've got a whole lot of the baby carrots, little baby carrots, frozen in my freezer. I got broccoli frozen in my freezer. I use it. I also have green beans, got them frozen, and I have the little discs, of carrots, the sliced. I use those. I have some, cauliflower's in there, although a lot of times I will use fresh cauliflower on certain things. Mainly, you can use frozen, but it adds a lot of water. And if I'm trying to use cauliflower as a mashed cauliflower for mashed potatoes, yeah, trying to get all that water out is rough, because you really want to try to take as much water out as you can. But yeah, I do the same thing. A lot of my stuff has frozen vegetables in it. I don't care for potatoes frozen. I don't like the texture. And of course, on low carb, I can't have potatoes, so it doesn't matter. I guess I get frozen potatoes and let the boys eat it. But yeah, I'm the same way. I do a lot of frozen. There's peppers. The problem I have with like bell peppers, putting them within the freezer, is that when I cook with them, when I defrost them as I cook with them, as they come out, they tend to be more mushy, and I think it's just a breakdown of the ice crystals within the pepper themselves. So I will use fresh bell peppers and that for that. I use fresh garlic. I use a lot of garlic. Onions, those types of things I will use as a fresh. Spinach, obviously. I do a lot of wilting of spinach, like the chicken piccata that I've got on Sinfully Good, and now is on Sinfully Low Carb. The difference between the low carb version and the regular version is I don't put the chicken on pasta. I take the pasta out, and it goes on wilted spinach. It goes on a bed of wilted spinach, and it's the same stuff, and it's got the lemon and caper flavor on with that spinach. It's good. It really is. So that's another way. If you're not doing, just use a different vegetable. You can use zucchini noodles if you want to. I'm not a fan, but a lot of people like the zucchini noodles or the spaghetti squash, and you can use those. One of the things on, say, like the lentil pastas is check your carb count. Do the math for the net carbs, because like I said, I work in net carbs because it's an easier number to work with. It actually looks, it's bigger. It's a bigger number, because if you're doing like 20 grams net carbs, it's like 15 total or something like that. And so you're looking at that, I'm trying to stay in 15 total carbs. Holy cow, So I use net carbs. But anyway, on your lentil or your alternate pastas, make sure you check your labels and read your labels. I'll do a video on reading labels and how that works. But check your labels and figure out what your carbs are. Figure out what your fiber is. Figure out what your sugar is. look to see what the ingredients are. Let's make sure we don't have some sort of goofy who knows what in there, um that type of stuff. You really want to kind of learn to read labels, because they will sneak stuff into that you go, oh well, that doesn't sound bad. Well, and then you find out. Okay, let's use an example. Back in the day, when it first started, a lot of people didn't realize this, and this is another problem that's causing the weight issue in the States and probably around the world. Although I think around the world it's a little less of a problem. Here in the States, it's huge. Anyway, back in the day, we started seeing that they were taking out fats and they were lowering sugars in, say, cereals and in other products, honeys, syrups, and that type of stuff. But they were adding this new thing called high fructose corn syrup. And yeah, that was a game changer. That, you know, I stay away from anything that's high fructose corn syrup, and it's not easy because it's in a lot of stuff. So read your labels. And I see high fructose corn syrup, nope, it goes back on the shelf. I see xylitol, back on the shelf. There are certain things that if I see them in the ingredients, that I will go, nope, I'm not doing it. It's not happening in my diet. But that's part of that lifestyle change. You've got to be aware, and you've got to start reading those labels and figuring out what it is you're buying. Some of the frozen pre-made meals, I mean, you look at the labels on those, and it's full of high fructose corn syrup and full of preservatives and all kinds of garbage. It's that's what I'm saying. We're starving ourselves here in the States. We're starving ourselves on junk food. We have plenty to eat. We're not hungry, but we're starving, So, anyway, off my soapbox, I apologize. Claire loves the baby. Carrots, I do too. She says, nice. I may have to do that recipe, as she loves spinach. It is good. And doing, throw a little butter in a pan and a whole bunch of, when you do wilted spinach, you get a big pan, throw butter in it, and you throw what looks like a ton of spinach in there. Just a pile of spinach, right? When you cook it down, you get, 2 cups of spinach at the end. It's really kind of funny. So, yeah. But yeah, that's what I do on that chicken piccata, is I put it on a bed as well. And I do that with a lot of things that normally would go over pasta. I'll just do wilted spinach, or I will do wilted arugula. I've done that. It's really good. It gives you a peppery. There are a lot of things that you can use instead of the pastas. Sometimes I will just put it over sauteed vegetables, or put it next to sauteed vegetable to go with, so I don't have that that need for the pasta, because pasta's filling, quite honestly. One of the things you'll notice is you cut back on carbs, and this is kind of interesting. I can tell the difference with me if I'm not on the low carb, is that right after eating, if you think about it, when you eat a big pizza, what's the next thing you want to do aside from drink a beer? You want to take a nap. It's all those carbs. Your body working on all those carbs makes you sleepy. When you go low carb and you cut back on the carbs, my God, you have so much energy, because you're not weighed down by the carbs and how it's working in your body. So, one of the things that those of you who, I got a bug in here. Those of you who try going low carb, and do it and do weight loss, or for whatever reason you're going to do low carb, is you will discover that you have a whole lot more energy. You're not tired after meals. Those are some of the things that I've had happen with me, is I get so tired after some of these higher carb meals. A big bowl of spaghetti. Okay, let's grab a pillow and take a nap. We're done. So Sophia says her favorite farm shop has zucchini pasta and other veggies and the sorts, and dried up. Is that rucola, or is that arugula? And reasonable prices. Farmers markets are amazing. If you're really wanting to go and get some good food, natural, and it doesn't cost a freaking fortune because you're not paying the truck driver, you're not paying the grocery store, you're getting it from the farmer. Um, if you have a farmer's market in your area, check those out and go support the local farmers and get some really good stuff, because you do get really good deals at farmers markets if you can find them. They're hard to find around here, but if you have the ability to find a good farmers market, oh my God, go get your stuff there, because especially your veggies, you'll save a lot. You'll get much better quality stuff. So yes, a video on reading labels would be good, especially for low-fat, carb packaged foods. Yeah. Now, again, like I said, Claire, you missed it because I said it earlier. One of the things you have to realize when you're talking about low fat, if something says low fat or fat free, fat is flavor. So if they took all the fat out and didn't do anything for flavor, you would be like, oh my God, I can't stand this stuff. So they have to do something. So what they do is they pack it full of carbohydrates, which are sugars. Okay. They dump carbohydrates in. So if you look at, say, a thing of full fat cottage cheese and a thing of fat free cottage cheese, and you flip those over, look at the difference in the amount of carbs there are in between the two, you know? And my argument in this is that I'd rather have the fat, because it's not a bad fat, and lower carbs than low fat and a ton of carbs, because those carbs are going to turn into sugar in my bloodstream, and then I'm going to have a sugar spike as a type 2 diabetic. That's why I do low carb. So if you're wondering why I don't do it for weight loss is a happy coincidence. The reason I do it is for blood sugar control. So if I'm doing something that I go, okay, I'm going to get low fat, next thing I know, I have a sugar spike that's, way up there. And I'm like, well, why? Well, you go look at the label of the fat-free, whatever it was, and, you have twice the amount of carbs that the regular full fat one had. So, I'd rather deal with the fat, and which the body has a harder time breaking down fat. That's why it stores a lot of it. And in low carb, what you're trying to do is you're trying to teach your body to not use carbohydrates and sugars. And you have to have carbohydrates and sugars in your diet. That's why it's low, not no. You really need to make sure you have, but they have to be quality carbohydrates. Did I turn this off? Okay. Anyway, they have to be quality carbohydrates. So, what your body is learning to do is, okay, it's harder to break down proteins into sugar, because your body runs on sugars. Doesn't matter what, everything becomes a sugar for your body. Okay. So it just depends on how difficult it is to break down those sugar, those elements to create the sugar to fuel your body. Okay. So if you're feeding your body tons of carbohydrates and tons of sugars, it doesn't take much to break it down. It breaks down really, really easy. Go straight to sugar, go straight to food for your body and energy, and it does a lot of it. So here we are, we have all of this energy, and I don't need it all. So what am I going to do with it? I'm going to store it. Then you get, so that's where the weight issue comes in. So you're storing all of these simple sugars in your body. Now, on low carb, what you're trying to do is teach your body, we're not going to use those simple sugars. We're not going to make it easy for you to get your fuel. You're going to have to work for it. Okay. So you give it proteins. Proteins are probably the hardest to break down into sugars. Your body breaks a whole lot less of those down. Fibers, lots of fibers. Hardly any carbohydrates, but fats. Okay. We're teaching your body to run on fats, on the sugars produced from proteins, and the sugars produced from fiber. And there's not a whole lot of sugar in fiber, so fiber carries all that stuff out. We all know what happens there. So your body gets used to no longer having the simple, easy carbohydrate to break down into sugar, and I'm done, and I just store everything else, right? Because it's hard to get to, so I'm going to store it. You're telling your body that you're not going to store this anymore. You're going to have to use this. And so that's where breaking down the fats in your body that have been stored over a period of time it's going to go look at that and say, okay, that's got to be easier than what I'm having to do with these proteins and these fats here. It's got to be easier. So I'm going to start using the stuff that I've stored. And so it starts that out first. Well, then it kind of starts to run out of that. And it says, and in that, again, we're using a fat. Your body starts learning that, okay, I have to break down the fat anyway. So I might as well break down the good one. And so you're teaching your body to use fats and the sugars from proteins to fuel itself, to work. And so that's the whole premise of behind low carb is, and that's why you lose weight, is because you're using the fats. But that's also why you tends to get a bump in your cholesterol levels when you first start. It will level off, takes about 6 months, depending on how much cholesterol you've stored and how much, if you're using the right oils, because you're using healthy oils that are low in cholesterol, or high in good cholesterol and low in bad cholesterol. So like I said, you're going to have a cholesterol spike. So when you first start, it's going to come. Mine was up well over 300 when I first started because of the cholesterol dump that happened with my body having to use these fats and clearing out all that stuff. But the interesting thing is my bad cholesterol levels actually dropped from what they had been before. It's well into healthy range. And my good cholesterol was like this big number. And we had to go through this discussion with the doctor and say, okay, yes, my cholesterol's gone up, but let's take a look at the individual pieces of it and let's see what's gone up and what's gone down. And it turned out it was the good cholesterol that had gone up, and that had caused the spike in cholesterol. So be aware that you will get that. So Claire says, that's so true. It's sinful. Starving on a pile of food. The lack of cooking knowledge is mostly because people are told cooking takes too long when it doesn't. It doesn't really. And it's so much healthier. And yes, we are starving with full pantries and full refrigerators and full bellies. We're still starving. So it takes changing the way you look at food. Our bodies are telling us we're starving by the added health issues that come up, the rheumatoid arthritis, the type 2 diabetes, all of these things, Crohn's, celiac, all of these things that are our body telling us we're starving. You're starving me. Well, I'm feeding you every day and I'm never hungry. Why? Why do you say I'm starving? Because you're feeding me the wrong things. I need better food than what's people are doing out there. So that's kind of the idea of the low carb. It forces you to move into to better foods, better products, not using the prepackaged, pre-made, throw it in your microwave, and 5 minutes later you have Salisbury steak. Okay, it's not using that stuff. So yeah, and we need to be more aware of it. So Claire again says, that's why I say reading those labels to people would be good, because people do not realize why the change up of ingredients are bad. I think you're doing low carb channel is great. Thank you. Like I said, Claire, originally when I was going to do a channel, it was going to be Sinfully Low Carb. That was supposed to be the main channel. Then I got involved in all this SPTV stuff and got to talking about people coming out of Sea Org and that type of thing. They need to know how to cook instead of spending all their hard-earned cash at McDonald's and God knows where and eating out every night. Because if you want to talk about groceries being expensive, try eating out every night. Yeah, that is incredibly expensive. So, if you're trying to make it on a budget like I am, I mean, if you're living paycheck to paycheck like we do, I'm trying to think of the last time we went out to eat. I want to say it's probably been 3 or 4 months ago, right before summer. So, and that's the last time we went out to eat. Now, we have had delivered pizza, but the last time we truly went out to eat was about 3 months. We can't afford it. Groceries, for a week, regular groceries. And we're not talking the low carb groceries. Regular groceries for a week here in Texas cost me, what did I spend yesterday? And I got very little. $350. $360, I think, was what I spent yesterday, and I didn't get that much. I got I had to get chicken. I've got a few things, but I kept it really low. Now, my list, I forgot my list at home. Go figure. I wrote a list and then I forgot it. I got the stuff to make Sophia's potato salad. Sophia sent me a Bavarian potato salad recipe that I'm going to do. It's a traditional Bavarian potato salad recipe. We're going to do that. I'm waiting on the mustard to come in. So I had to order the mustard from Amazon because it is a special brand of German mustard. So, and Sophia can tell you exactly that. So, anyway, so I'm having to wait for Amazon to get around. And with Oktoberfest right now, yeah, trying to get anything German right now is, yeah, it's rough. So basically, I've got about a 2-week wait for German mustard. So, but I've got brats, and we're going to do sauerkraut, and I'm going to make them a German potato salad. I'll probably taste it just so I know what it tastes like, so I can comment on it. But I won't be able to have very much of it because next week starts my low carb again. So there we go. I'm thirsty. Anyway, so yeah, I'll do a video on reading labels. I'll have to pull what I've got out and do that. But yeah, we can do that pretty quickly and easily. And I'll throw that on the Sinful Low Carb. I may do it as a short, or yeah, depends on how long it takes me to get through it, because there's a lot of stuff to talk about on reading labels. But yeah, so those kinds of things. I will put up a must-haves for low carb eating. It's going to be things like xanthan gum and oat fiber and protein powder and MCT oils and that type of stuff. The sugars, the sugar replacements, all of that. And unfortunately, YouTube will not let me link on the Sinful Good channel outside of YouTube. So basically what I'm going to have to do is actually use the Sinfully Good to give you the links for the files that I am actually using. I'm using Google Docs, which will give you an ability to print. And so I'm sending links to Google Docs, or posting links to the Google Docs in the recipes in each individual recipe, and you will see, what's that type of thing. So I can probably just make a list in the community section of Simply Low Carb. And that's probably how I'll do that. But I will also do a link for a printable grocery list, so you have it, and we'll talk about, what fruits and vegetables are high carb versus low carb, and which ones you should get on when you're doing a low carb diet. And again, we're talking low carb. We're not talking keto. So you're allowed to have some of these things that normally, if you were doing keto and you watch these videos about keto and say, oh, you can't have that. You can't have that ever, On low carb, you can, because we're not trying to get into ketosis. The whole thing about ketosis is that you're burning. I mean, it's full on burn fat for fuel, and low carb is not. It's you have some wiggle room. You have some things you can do. Like I can have potatoes occasionally, a small thing of mashed potatoes if I'm really wanting it. It's all about planning. So anyway, all right. So we're hitting the end of, we've done an hour and 48 minutes of all me. Oh my gosh. And so Claire, I'm so sorry. You and Joe both. I thought I had you guys on the list on the invite email. And when I looked at it, because I hadn't seen or heard anything, and when I looked at it, I went, oh crap, you guys weren't on it. So I quick sent you one right before, and I didn't give you a whole lot of time. So I do apologize for that. I'll try to be better next time. I just didn't realize I missed you, because I saw Clearwater and on my thing, and it was Chad, and I had already put him on it, and I said, why is he coming up the second time? So, and it was you. So, that's kind of how that went. But anyway, again, the sister channel is here. It is Sinfully Low Carb. There is a link in Sinfully Good. If you look down under featured channels, as underneath that, it says sister channel. That may above it, but anyway, it says sister channel. That is a link to the Sinfully Low Carb. Go ahead and head over there. There's not much there yet. I'm working on getting stuff over there, but go ahead and subscribe, and I really appreciate it. And that's where a lot of this low carb information will go. I'm not going to put it in the Sinfully Good because some people who are viewing that probably don't really care what the carbs issue is or anything like that. And I don't want to really bug them and say you should be doing this when they just want a recipe. So now I will put the link to the low carb version of it on these recipes starting now. So you'll have both links on that. But anyway, so that's the address to the Sinfully Low Carb. You can always buy me, as I'm talking about lowering sugars and that type of stuff. You can always buy me a Southern Sweet tea. Rest assured that my tea, I make it here at home. And I use Batcha Sweet, which is a natural sugar replacement. And I've used very little of it. So there's very little. It's still slightly sweet, but just enough to make me happy and think it's a Southern Sweet tea. But it's not, processed sugars. So if you would like to, until I get monetized, I mean, that's what I've got. So if you'd like to help with the grocery bill, there you go. And I do want to, hang on, let me find it. I do want to put one more. That's not it. Here it is. I would like to put that in. That is the other SPTV cooking channel. Cece's a great person. She's a good friend of Claire and Mark Headley's. And she is, I've talked to her quite a few times, very, very sweet lady. She has been in Scientology and come out of it. She is very, very close to Claire. Basically, they call her her mother, her other mother, and she plays the grandma role for Mark and Claire's kids. So great lady. You'll really enjoy her. She's got a lot of good stuff. I kind of watch her channel so that I don't overlap, but check out Cece's Comfort Cooking. She does a really good job. Alrighty, folks. We're going to do this again next week. I haven't figured out the topic. Probably looking into some of we may do the reading food labels. Why not? But we'll do another one on Friday, and hopefully I'll have my guests on. I know Clearwater Chad had meetings today, so I knew he was not going to make it. He usually does. But anyway, y'all have an awesome evening. I enjoyed having you here. And that's fine, Claire. Anyway, I'll go ahead and start working on some videos for the new channel, but I'll also have some stuff up. I'll have some stuff up later today. I don't have the car. I don't have to go pick up the husband. I didn't have to go grocery shopping today. I did that yesterday, so I have a little bit of time. Anyway, y'all have a great day. Thanks for coming and joining me in my kitchen or in my wine room, wherever you want to call it. And I will catch you guys next week. Here comes my intro and my outro are the same thing, so here it comes. Y'all have a good day.